Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. Right, so this is actually the third time I'm trying to record this video because there always seems to be a technical issue or something else crop up. But this is going to be a tournament match against TJ. This is Blizzard's 8-man Invitational tournament. In the last round I faced off against Happy McMuffins, and basically it's kind of as you think. It's only a small 8-people tournament, but there are the toughest of the toughest and the best players in this tournament. Basically, in order to get an invite to this tournament, you had to have been somebody who consistently plays up top in Battlegrounds or has won previous tournaments, so on and so forth. So we have Fintech, we have Faisim, we have TJ, we had Happy McMuffins, so on and so forth. And now it's my turn to go up against TJ. He was in GT40 in the previous season. Now he is in SXX by the looks of it. It is best out of 5, and this is the power burn meta, which I'm quite happy about because the power burn meta definitely agrees with me slightly more than the polka dot power. I just can't quite put my finger on that meta properly. But let's get into the match. So my standard ban strategy for this meta is pretty much always Galen and Hulkling, because those are absolute monsters and they are just nukes, and I think it's, you know, it ruins your hard work in drafting if opponent randomly gets a Galen, and I don't like how overpowered these champions are in this meta, so I just always get rid of them because I'd rather nobody gets the chance to use these guys over, you know, my opponent getting one and me not, or me winning because of them. I just think it's too much kind of like emphasis on these specific champions, so I pretty much always ban them regardless of whatever else is happening. Then I also typically ban Archangel, but this time around I know that TJ can play Tigra quite well, and Tigra is extremely dangerous after her fix, so Tigra has to go because there's not much to stop her as well from completely shredding through majority of the champions. So he starts with Terax, to which I respond with Howard the Duck and also Diablo. Howard the Duck obviously will not function too well on defense with him having Terax, but he's still an outstanding attacker. And Diablo is one of the very few champions that can deal extremely well with the chunky mystics that virtually every match we see present, especially in this meta. So now I do need to kind of like balance out my draft. I don't like to start my drafts with kind of like single purpose champions, but again, here I had the foresight and, you know, I kind of expect the match to go a certain way, so that's why I chose the Diablo. Now I grab Man-Thing and Nick Fury, kind of like clear attempt to bolster my defense and waste time, because again, there aren't too many things that nuke down Nick Fury extremely easy and quickly in this meta, and similar to Man-Thing. And then now he responded with Kingpin and Howard the Duck, which I'm perfectly fine with. It's actually something that, you know, makes me feel slightly more comfortable. And this is here where pretty much the draft, I think, gets decided, because I do get my Rintra, and Rintra is quite notorious, and I don't see much options for him to take down that Rintra, as well as OG Thor. And OG Thor is there because just in case I need more than one champion that's capable of getting rid of armor buffs from the get-go. And now he selects his draft with finishes draft with Wiccan and Titania, which again is a bit dangerous, but I'm kind of content with because I know Titania will take a long time to go up against Rintra, and that's the best option that he has. I pick Sasquatch. Now I know for a fact that Sasquatch is another champion that will present him tremendous amount of trouble on defense, because most of his champions there are selected in a sense that relies on armor break, or would be quite slow at killing Sasquatch. That's why I'm quite happy with having Man-Thing, Rintra, and Sasquatch as defensive options. Nick Fury might end up being a spare here, but also at the same time, in between Howard the Duck, OG Thor, and Diablo, I'm quite satisfied with my potential offensive options. There is one champion on his side that scares me, which is not the one that you guys are thinking about, but he drops Dr. Doom, and I placed my Rintra, and this is going to be effectively a race, in a race where I do feel quite confident. Now I know Titania can do Rintra reasonably well, just about in this meta. You have to be extremely precise, and everything needs to work out your way, but that fight's definitely doable. However, I know that Diablo bypasses all of Dr. Doom's resistances and armors, because he does vast majority of his damage via poison, which, you know, doesn't care about armor. And then also I will have the opportunity to heal, and Dr. Doom doesn't have as big of health pool as Rintra. So I do feel quite confident in this fight that I will, unless I absolutely royally screw this up, should be able to get through this match relatively successfully. Now, there is a key to using Diablo in this meta, and this is kind of like a generic advice, and that is to make sure that whenever you do use a special attack, make sure that you will nullify an armor buff, because that is what mistake I see quite a lot of people make. They use the special as soon as they get to it, just to have that aura, but if they do not cross the hit counter of 10, opponent doesn't proc the armor up, and then basically it often ends up being in a situation where you have no power, opponent has an armor up, and you have no way of getting rid of that armor up. So the key there is to always make sure that whenever you do use a special attack, you actually get rid of an armor up, and then you'll be fine. That's like the only thing to kind of note in this meta using Diablo. And here, you know, the fight's nearly over. It hasn't been the quickest. I'm going to try and get a cheeky 3% heal at the end to finish at 100%, and it works out pretty much perfect. Fight was 89 seconds, finished with 100% health, and as we can see that Titania is still fighting, and there's no way that she can finish with more than 100% health. So I know that I got this in the bag. That I accidentally flipped my phone around because I was trying to figure out the potential strategies and placements and whatnot for the next round, because as I said, I do feel confident. And here there is basically 3 options they can place on defense in between Man-Thing, Nick Fury and Sasquatch, but there is a solid, I would say, reason why I'm gonna do what I do. And there was a way for TJ to kind of screw me over, but it wasn't that easy to be seen, and it would not necessarily mean that the match would have ended in other fashion. So Hero is debating in between Nick Fury and Man-Thing, but I chose to go with Man-Thing, trying to get that Wiccan out of him, because if he placed Wiccan on defense, I would be in trouble, because Wiccan is armor break immune, and you know, you don't want to parry him. That fight can get out of the hand very, very fast. By placing Man-Thing, I had the highest chance of forcing that Wiccan on the Man-Thing, and that fight is doable. I have done it before, but it's also not super easy, because if Man-Thing's AI gets a bit slow, then your neutralize falls off, and then the postules start coming into play, and there's just a whole slew of problems that kind of cascade. On the other hand, OG Tor against Terax is very doable fight, fairly straightforward. You just need somewhat slow play. I actually end up running OG Tor in this meta over CGR for the main reason, the fact that you can run his rotation pretty much normally. You do not need to make any large adjustments, and also because he can get rid of armor up buffs from the get-go in the match, unlike CGR. So you can use, for instance, OG Tor against Howard the Duck if need be. You can use him against Steel Warrior or Sam Wilson, so on and so forth. You just need to parry a bit at the beginning. And here I am not doing the greatest job in keeping these armor ups away from me. I have, sorry, armor breaks. I have 9 armor breaks on me, which is the worst thing, because that means that Despair is gimping my healing, and that means that Inequity is gimping my damage, and I don't like this at all. So here I make a catastrophic error, because I do decide that I can finish this fight with level 2 and level 1, but level 2 doesn't crit, and level 1 doesn't crit, and even stunned the Terax, at which case he immediately throws his level 3, and at this point I'm cussing. I just got a bit impatient. I was extremely frustrated with myself, and the fight that I was on the pace to finish in like a minute or slightly after with 80+% health, all of a sudden I have 0 health, 0 points for time remaining, just because I got a bit impatient and I got very frustrated. But my Man-Thing held out, and I knew it is a possibility, but I got very fortunate and very lucky in this match. I did not really deserve to win due to my impatience, but sometimes things work out, especially in this meta, and Man-Thing, you know, Man-Thing did his job. That's all I'm gonna say there. So first match goes to me, 2-0, and we are moving on to second match. Now he invites me, so that means I will have to draft and place her first. I am not changing my ban strategy, and now it will be the time. And this is exactly the type of draft that I don't like seeing myself open with, because all three of these are offensive champions and each and every single one of them can be made kind of like subpar throughout the course of the match based on what opponent drafts. But I do decide to go with Diablo just because I know that virtually always throughout these matches the big chunky mystic defenders do crop up. In every single match so far, we see something like Rintra, something like Sasquatch or Man-Thing, stuff like that, and Diablo can deal with all of them, which is exactly the reason why Diablo is in my deck, and he is doing his job just fine. Here, second round of my draft, I'm actually also still not quite happy with, and because it was, again, largely offensively oriented, and I do not like where I'm at in this draft so far. But I did grab Juggernaut and Archangel because I did see that Dr. Doom and Blade, both of whom Archangel can deal with, and then obviously Juggernaut is just a nuke machine. However, now it's time for me to bolster my defenses, for me to make sure that I actually, can put up some defense, and I am gonna go with Anti-Venom and Man-Thing, both of whom are Archangel safe. And most importantly, Anti-Venom can actually do that Mephisto very well, being Incinerate immune. And if you are comfortable with Anti-Venom, he's actually one of, if not the best science champion for this meta. You just need to get used to him. And then he works tremendously well. He can even take down a Rintra in this meta, and most of the other mystics too. Now here, I was quite worried about a couple of possible draft picks that he's going to go with. And I was thinking of going with King Groot and Rintra. However, I will bypass that King Groot in order for Valkyrie, because there were a handful of champions that he could have drafted that I would have basically zero answers for. But that is one of those things where you always kind of want to think about worst possible case scenario, what would mess you over the most, and that is why I picked Valkyrie. In hindsight, not sure if that was the best call, but that is the call that I made. So we do need to move on. The drafts are complete, and I am thinking in between Rintra and Man-Thing on defense. Initially, I settle on Man-Thing just to make sure he cannot Archangel this champion, and he will have to likely use something like Diablo, most likely, because especially Weekend Fight didn't go too well for him the previous time. And when it comes to a race, I felt quite confident that I can outpace Diablo against Man-Thing if I run Anti-Venom against Mephisto. Partially because of Equity Mastery there as well, and then obviously because Anti-Venom has been doing quite well for me. Here are the few key aspects that you do want to do with Anti-Venom in this meta. Number one, make sure you throw your heavy attack latest as 7th hit. When opponent has maximum of 7 hit me area charges, you have to throw your heavy attack in order to make sure that, well, I suppose 8 works now. But in order just to be safe, to make sure that you will stagger that armor up, you do want to throw your special, your heavy attack as latest as 7th hit. So just keep that in mind. And the second thing is, ideally, you do want to throw your level 1 before you reach a combo of 10. Because that helps you ramp up quicker. Now we can see that my Spectres are putting in some work as well. Now I drop another heavy attack to get rid of his next upcoming armor up, which is sweet, and I go in for a full combo there. And I drop my level 2, get 4 full Furies, and now I have decent amount of damage. Now I just need to basically not mess up this fight, which is exactly what I'm going to do. Because so far it has been pretty much perfect. But unfortunately, I shifted to Disorient, and I did stop him from getting charges on time, and now he's at 9 charges, and I have no more stagger, which means I will have to deal with armor up for the last bit of this fight, which is super annoying. So that is why I activated my level 1 there, to get that Petrify in order to be able to reverse or nullify his regen. And then I just kind of went for it, hoping to finish it as quickly as I can. I should have finished this fight at like 95 or 90% health, but I screwed it up in the end, and I would have been also about 10 seconds faster if I didn't eat that level 1 there. But luckily, my Man-Thing again held the fortress, held it down, and I barely managed to squeak through this one. So I did screw up the end of this fight a little bit, but I still think that Anti-Venom kind of proved his worth in this fight for sure. Now the next match is going to be Abomination of Nature. The next match is going to be quite nasty. So here I have a very, very simple thing to achieve. I'm going to drop a champion that I will not need for anything else in this fight. And I'm doing it because TJ now has one option to win, really. He can use his Archangel to nuke my Valkyrie down quicker than I can nuke his Doom down. Or if he doesn't, I use my Archangel to nuke out his Dr. Doom and take the win in the 2 rounds. That was effectively meant to be kind of like an offer, a throw of a round, because yes, he could have dropped his Archangel against that Valkyrie, and if he did, he for sure had a win. Now, here is where we need to pause. Okay, so he obviously didn't go with it, which makes this much more complicated for me, and this fight ever so much more important, because he saved his Archangel. Round 3 would be much more dicey for me. Still think I would have been fine, but it would be much more competitive. So I need this fight to go well. And here we can see that after 3 heavy attacks, Dr. Doom has 1 bleed. So my Archangel and all of the RNG in the world has forsaken me here. And now I don't really know what to do. So on top of it all, I do get hit by level 1 by kind of like thinking my options, thinking my plan. I was trying to get those parries in to hopefully proc a poison as well, which I didn't. And then I just decided to go for it because there was no way of me kind of waiting this out. And I was just like, if I get enough neuros, that will, you know, stop the power burn at some point. I'll take some damage here for sure. But, you know, I just need that RNG to work out quite decent. And so far, I did manage to get up 3 neuros. At this point we have 5, which works out just fine. I do need to get out at level 2, but at least the fight is kind of somewhat in the order after a catastrophic start on 3 heavy attacks, 1 bleed. What are the odds of that? Like, come on. And now at this point, obviously, the fight is ticking down just fine. He still has that neuron. There's no more armor up present. There's plenty of bleeds. He has some more neuros. I throw special. The fight's over. 40 seconds left on the clock. And at this point, I'm still praying because he could easily finish this fight with higher health than I am. And round 3 would be quite troublesome. Now, I still think I would be able to win if I dropped my Diablo probably in defense, because he can't Archangel. And then for rest of the champions wouldn't really do too much, and then whatever he does place, I should be able to nuke down either with Rintra or Juggernaut. That would probably be my plan there, but his fight seemingly didn't go too great either, and this is just pure luck here, where I did get completely screwed over by the RNG of Archangel, but then, you know, fortunately, TJ was not able to capitalize on that, and I still get the W. So this means I'm 2-0, and we are moving on to round number 3, but I did have some connection errors, so I did quickly restart my device before sending a next invite to TJ. Again, these connection errors have been becoming more and more frustrating recently. And now the final round. I'm perfectly happy with my ban strategy again, just because if opponent gets a Gallon and you have anything but a Mystic Defender, you know, it's borderline unfair. And again, I just think these 3 champions add too much unpredictability in these matches, and I can't stand it. So anyways, he starts with Howard the Duck, very solid opening draft. It is exactly the type of opening draft that I would like to do. And I respond with King Groot and Longshot. King Groot's awesome, but just like Longshot is both offensive and defensive champion in this meta, because King Groot is power burn immune. He's one of the very few champions that can nuke down Nimrod if need be. And Longshot can be annoying offensively and defensively as well. Now, he obviously gets the mandatory Rintra and also Havoc. Havoc's quite interesting. And here I could go with Archangel, but I choose to go against it because he can still quite easily use that Rintra on attack and make me waste the champion spot. So I do opt to go with kind of like more universal champions, especially in Warlock, because he can be a solid defender, solid attacker. Pick Man-Thing as my defensive bastion, I suppose. And now that he drafted Dr. Doom on top of everything else that he did, I do choose to go with... by the way, in the previous match, I realized that I should not have placed Diablo, but whatever. Probably should have been Rintra. Doesn't matter. That is my overlook, because you can still poison Diablo. Anyways, back to this draft. So I choose to go with Archangel and Anti-Venom. Anti-Venom is again solid offensively, defensively, and again, if need be, I can use him to tackle Rintra. And now we have Nimrod and we have Mojo, his final drafts, which both of whom I actually feel quite comfortable with, because I drafted that King Groot in order to deal with Nimrod, which is awesome. And Mojo, well, for Mojo I already do have Warlock, Archangel, and Anti-Venom, all of whom are capable of dealing with that little scoundrel. So I just select Nick Fury as kind of like a default defensive time waste champion. Now I do know that he has Howard the Duck, so I probably do not want to start off with my Nick Fury, but let's see how that works out to begin with. And now I am gonna go with Nick Fury, which is not the greatest move in hindsight. Which is not because he can use Howard the Duck, and if he times his level 1, I might be in rough waters. It is a risky play here for sure, but with this I'm also getting rid of his only champion that can armor break at the start of the fight, and that was the goal there. So this is not the ideal situation. I can win this round if RNG is in my favor, if it's better than the previous fight. But there was a method to my madness, because Howard the Duck was, again, the only champion that would get rid of that armor up early on in the fight. And here my fight starts out perfect, right? Here I do get much better RNG. He never got even his first armor up there. We do have 5 neuros, and that Dr. Doom is just getting nuked down. He has 4 neuros, plenty of bleeds, plenty of poisons. And here I'm like, come on, dude. And I just need level 1, and here I get attacked by it. And this is where I get scared. The fight would have finished pretty much perfectly, but no, I just had to screw up that level 2 of 8. And then I didn't heavy in time, and he gets an armor up. But I mean, you know, we finished this fight slightly better, I suppose, than the previous one. I have 57% health, but we do have 20 extra seconds. If he finishes this with a good health, he can beat me. Again, not the prettiest, not the best gameplay. And here we do get the loading screen of Doom. So I immediately do restart my game, because there's nothing else I can do about it. At the very least, all of this is recorded. And this is going to be a first, because after I restart my game, as you can see it in the second, it actually takes a bit of time to load. At this point, I'm even more and more panicky, because every dear second is floating away from me, and I could have possibly won that match, depending how he did, but if I do not get back into the game, none of it matters. But here we go. It actually counted the fight. So I do not know exactly what happened there, but it did count, so fair enough. Again, the connection issues have been becoming more and more persistent and strange. So given the fact that he hasn't finished the fight yet, I do feel quite comfortable with this situation. And now we do need to focus on the next match. And the next match, again, unfortunately at this point, I know that TJ has lost it. There is virtually nothing he can do to win this match from this point forward, because he has 0 champions capable of getting rid of an armor buff from the start. And I do have one inconspicuous draft pick that actually starts the fight with an armor up, which is Warlock. So obviously I did have plenty of defensive champions that could have went with, like, you know, King Groot or Longshot or Man-Thing or whatever, even Anti-Venom, all of whom are perfectly capable in defense. But in this case, there's nothing he can do to that armor up. And that will basically make sure that this match is mine. Obviously, I still need to do the best I can against the Rintra, but yeah, as soon as I place that Warlock, it was over. On the bright side, we do get an awesome Anti-Venom fight here, and you guys are going to get an opportunity to see how cool he does work against Rintra. So as I said, you do want to drop your level 1 before you reach combo of 10. Obviously, have that stagger in place as well. So here I am dropping my level 1. Sweet, I have the Petrify, I have 2 Spectres. I'm also dealing already damage by reversing the regen. And here I want to get to another combo of 10, so 20 combo before my purple thingy expires. I forgot how it's called. But now I'm basically fully ramped. He's already losing some health due to all of the Spectres that are placed on him. I can go to my level 2, which is exactly what I do now. Well, I'm going to drop another heavy attack, bait out his special to make sure he has no charges, he doesn't go unstoppable there. And I do want to get in my stagger, as always. Just make sure it's there. So now we did stagger that armor up. Sweet. More staggers. He's at 50% health. At which point I probably should not have even tried to go for my second level 2. I should have just tried to be as aggressive as I can with level 1s and the rest of the region reversal. But I do decide to go for another level, level 2, get 5th passive fury, because my furies are about to expire. Unfortunately, again, it was just the one extra fury that I got there, and those special attacks do last a while. But here, in order to finish this fight, what I can do is just basically try and regen reverse as much as possible. Fortunately, unbeknownst to myself, I did shift to Disorient, which was quite annoying. So I do decide to go for another level 2 instead, and I drop him at 1% health, one more hit, and there we go. So we did actually take down that Rintra fully with anti-venom, which is quite cool. And obviously here, regardless of how well I did, I knew I don't have to kill that Rintra. It's like, as long as I did something to that Rintra, I knew I'm going to be fine. Because obviously here we have Nimrod taking constant damage from every single hit that he connects, even as he builds to his level 2. And, you know, he did manage to get my Warlock down to 18%, which is, you know, quite good, but we got this quite confidently. And that is it of them. That is, yeah, it. That is the 3-0 score there. It's a nice little streak. I didn't play the best, but my drops definitely saved me, especially in the end there, where basically just got a free victory with that Warlock placement. And that is it. I think my next match is against Fintech. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm also do have another tournament coming up on Saturday, so tomorrow at some point. So that should be quite interesting. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you guys think of this meta in general and these matches, and I will catch you guys later. See ya. Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about the